A very newsworthy edition of AEW Dynamite last night, as Jeff Hardy is now All Elite, plus a title change during the main event of the show. We also have a heel turn and a new faction form, plus we hear from William Regal for the first time, FTR fires their manager, and much, much more. All this and more in today's AEW news. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very, very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into today, and it's going to be a big one because last night's AEW Dynamite on TBS was a very big show. Of course, it was the post-Revolution broadcast of Dynamite on TBS, and we saw a lot of newsworthy events happen. So let's get straight into the most obvious debut in pro wrestling at the moment, that being Jeff Hardy becoming All Elite, because Jeff Hardy has made his AEW debut on last night's Dynamite. The charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy is officially All Elite. Now, last night, prior to the show, it was announced there was going to be an AHFO emergency board meeting in the ring, and that's exactly what we saw. Now, Matt Hardy and the AHFO were gathered in the ring to start a segment. Matt Hardy was apologizing to the Hardy family office because he felt like he turned into an a-hole when he put on the suit. He was not wearing a suit last night. Now, Andrade El Idolo said he wants the leader of the group to be the leader of the group, and they should take a vote. Now, Matt Hardy, throughout the entirety of this segment, was going, well, you can take a vote, but it doesn't matter because even though you and your assistant, Jose, will put their thumbs up, I've got me saying that I want to stay and I have my kids, the private party, they will also have a thumbs up vote, so I will stay. But that didn't happen. Andrade, Private Party, and the other stars in the AHFO ended up turning on Matt Hardy and beating him down in the middle of the ring. As the beatdown continued, Andrade grabbed a chair and intended to use it on Matt. This is when everyone was expecting Jeff Hardy to come out, but he didn't initially because Darby Allin and Sting emerged from the entrance ramp and came to Matt Hardy's assist. But there were still too many men in the newly formed HFO, or AFO, I guess. So they ended up getting the advantage on Darby and Sting, and this is when the signature Hardy Boys music hits. Yes, the Hardy Boys music from WWE loaded. We'll talk about that in a second. And Jeff Hardy emerged and ran down the ring to make the save. After making the save and hitting his signature Swanton Bomb finisher, Jeff and Matt had a long stare down with Sting and Darby Allin. Now, I mentioned about the music. It was noted earlier yesterday that the loaded theme song that the Hardy Boys use as an entrance theme for decades isn't actually owned by WWE. It's licensed by WWE. So AEW made inquiries about licensing the theme, and it was used for the segment. Now, as I mentioned, the Hardy Boys have been... we knew this was going to happen. The Hardy Boys have already been booked on, or are booked on, a reunion tour. They're going to have several wrestling matches coming up in the next couple of weeks. Now, Jeff Hardy, of course, was released in early December after he reportedly turned down an offer to go to rehab from the company. This came after the incident on December 4 at the WWE live event in Edinburgh, Texas, where Hardy abruptly disappeared through the crowd during a six-man tag team match. Due to the strange incident, Jeff was pulled from the road and subsequently released. In the weeks that then followed, it was reported that WWE Talent Relations head John Laurinaitis called Hardy to talk about possibly bringing him back to the company and also offered him a place in the 2022 WWE Hall of Fame. Hardy denied the offer and declined and asked for his drug test results from when he was released in December back because he was expected that he wasn't going to test positive for any recreational drugs, which he did not. It took Hardy and his wife Beth 6 weeks to get the results back. But when they did, Jeff Hardy indeed did pass his drug test and also a breathalyzer test too. So it was a big segment, and for any doubt out there, Jeff Hardy is officially All Elite. AEW President Tony Khan has confirmed as much via Twitter that Hardy is now All Elite. He posted the graphic saying, quote, "It's official, Jeff Hardy is All Elite," posting the brand image as you can see before. Several people in AEW have reacted. The Young Bucks have simply posted ... Evil Uno of the Dark Order tweeted, quote, "Evil Uno is co-workers with Jeff Hardy." Sean Dean tweeted, quote, "I rewatched Jeff Hardy make his debut about 20 times, and only Brother Nero could dance down the ramp during a 6-on-4 disadvantage and successfully kick everyone's ass." Shotty Lee said, quote, "Seeing Jeff Hardy do his dance will never get old." Red Velvet tweeted, "Jeff Hardy, hell yeah, LFG." So again, everyone expect this was not a surprise. This was not a surprise at all. Every single person knew that Jeff Hardy was going to be, at the very least, signing with AEW. There was a lot of reports he was going to be backstage at Dynamite last night, and if he's backstage, he's probably going to be on the show. He officially became a free agent yesterday. I saw a lot of people talking about this on social media as well. He became a free agent yesterday, but he really didn't, because he was probably a free agent for all of a couple of minutes. Once the hour struck midnight and he was officially a free agent, he probably signed his contract just minutes after that. So he wasn't a free agent for very long. Nevertheless, it's a big signing, obviously, for AEW. I mean, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because I think we've kind of forgot a little bit because of maybe how Jeff Hardy was booked in the last couple of years of WWE. You do forget just how big of a star he is. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, I look back to his run as WWE champion, World Heavyweight champion in 2008, 2009. This guy was selling more merch than John Cena. He was the number 2 babyface in the entire company. The ovations he was getting is ginormous. For his problems, his demons, and all that kind of stuff, there is just this magnetic personality. There is this thing about Jeff Hardy. He has always just been super over, super popular, and he will continue to do so. Are they getting Jeff Hardy in his prime? Of course they're not, but they're not getting Matt Hardy in his prime either. I think this is obviously Matt and Jeff's final run as pro wrestlers, as active pro wrestlers. They're going to be... this is the interesting thing, I suppose, is what are they going to be? Are they going to be the Hardy Boys? I mean, they've got the loaded theme song, so you would assume that they're going to be the Hardy Boys again. Are they going to dip in and out of the broken Hardys? I think so too. I think we're going to see both. I think we're going to see Matt and Jeff as the Hardy Boys, and then I think eventually we're going to see Broken Matt return and Brother Nero and all the Hardy Broken Universe madness that we really wanted to see initially in WWE, but we couldn't because of the Impact intellectual property stuff. And then we wanted to see it maybe in AEW, but when Broken Matt came in, the pandemic had just hit, so there was no crowd there, and it just didn't work. There is so much scope for them to really explore there in AEW, and it's very exciting. The pop he got last night was absolutely ginormous. And I said at the time, you know, when Jeff Hardy was released by WWE, that if it was legitimately a substance abuse problem, then I didn't think AEW would touch him. By all accounts, they have been reassured tenfold that it was not a substance abuse issue. They have proven, Jeff Hardy has proven to AEW and everyone that he wasn't under the influence of anything. He passed the breathalyzer, he passed the drug test, and WWE jumped the gun. We still don't know why he left the match and walked through the crowd. I don't think we'll ever know. I think if you ask him, he'll just say that maybe he was hurt or he's having a bad night. I don't know. But by all accounts, everyone that was involved in the match as well said, no, Jeff Hardy was not under the influence. He was having an off night. He was banged up. So to be honest as well, this makes so much more sense for him, because I was shocked when he re-signed with WWE anyway, because we know he can't keep up that kind of schedule. He cannot keep up that 5-night-a-week schedule that WWE has. AEW is once or twice a week. It's far more, it's far better for him physically, mentally, and I think it works for everyone. And hearing him come out to the old Hardy Boys theme and that pop was unbelievable. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Of course, the AEW Tag Team division just already got even bigger. You've got Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, Red Dragon, the Hardy Boys, the Lucha Brothers, Sting and Darby Allin, the Acclaimed. I mean, I could go on and on of the amount of just fantastic tag teams, top flight that they have in there. So some really, really, really exciting matches in there that I have no doubt we'll continue to see. So it was a big moment, arguably the biggest moment of the night, and it was very exciting, and that pop was something else. It really was. But as I mentioned, we are just scraping the surface of what happened last night on Dynamite, because we also have a brand new TNT champion, that being Scorpio Sky. The TNT Championship changed hands on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite when Scorpio Sky defeated the defending champion Sammy Guevara. Now, the tide of the match turned majorly when Guevara went for his signature 630 splash from the turnbuckle to Sky, who was set up on a table at ringside. Sky avoided the maneuver, and Sammy ended up bursting through the table with strong velocity. Tay Conti then came down to check on Guevara as the doctor looked over him as well. Paige Van Zant, a fellow member of American Top Team with Scorpio Sky, was sitting at ringside and started bad-mouthing Tay Conti while she was checking on Sammy. Distractions from Ethan Page, Dan Lambert, and others eventually caught up to Sammy, and he got hit by Scorpio Sky's finishing cutter for the 1-2-3. Afterwards, Paige Van Zant came to the ring and assisted in the beatdown of Sammy and Tay Conti. The episode of Dynamite ended with American Top Team celebrating as Paige Van Zant signed her AEW contract on Tay Conti's back while she laid incapacitated. Now, Tony Khan has since announced on social media that it's official. Paige Van Zant has signed with All Elite Wrestling, so she was a member of the AEW roster. We know that Paige Van Zant has toyed with coming into pro wrestling for a really long time. WWE were reportedly very interested for several years, but now she's officially signed with AEW, which I think is a really big signing for AEW. I really do. I think that from the brief interactions we've seen, or appearances rather, we've seen of Paige Van Zandt on AEW television. She's a natural. She's got the charisma, she's got the look, and she's a badass. She's a legit badass. Scorpio Sky winning the bout. I was somewhat surprised. I mean, the whole them billing it as title versus streak. I mean, Scorpio Sky hasn't lost on television in over a year, which is factually accurate. But I don't think anyone was really counting, apart from AEW. So I didn't really buy into that. But I mean, I guess it makes sense also because Wardlow's going to be going after the TNT Championship, but I don't think he's going to win because I think that MJF's going to get involved in that. We saw a Wardlow promo last night, so it's a curious one. I mean, you look at all of the champions in AEW right now, they're all AEW, for lack of a better term, homegrown stars. They are Hangman Page, Scorpio Sky, you've got Jurassic Express, you've got Britt Baker, and you've got Jade Cargill. They are 5 homegrown stars that have not been on WWE television. I mean, Scorpio Sky technically has, as part of those anger management segments back in 2012 with Kane and Daniel Bryan. But I think that the narrative, just bringing in WWE stars, look at the champions. That's why I would say look at the champions. So I enjoyed the match. Big moment for Scorpio Sky. Still not on the whole Dan Lambert thing. I'm not. I'll be honest. But it's a big show of faith from Tony Khan, and it's a big moment for Scorpio Sky. And I'm obviously building towards Scorpio Sky and Paige Van Zandt versus Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara. And we'll see where that one goes, definitely. Now, the show opened with another big moment because Chris Jericho is once again a heel, and he's got a new faction. The Inner Circle are officially dead, and we have a brand new faction known as the Jericho Appreciation Society. Now, the show started with an exchange between Chris Jericho and the man he lost to at Revolution on Sunday, that being Eddie Kingston, where Eddie Kingston revealed the events leading up to the pay-per-view. According to Kingston, going to the AEW Fan Fest in Orlando on Saturday changed everything for him because several of the fans revealed to him that he was a contributing factor in choosing not to off themselves. Jericho then seemed to turn the page for the better, saying that despite everything that's happened between them, he does respect Eddie Kingston, and the two men shook hands as the audience cheered. But the seemingly happy moment was ended abruptly when 2.0 and Daniel Garcia ran down to the ring and attacked Kingston and Jericho. Of course, they've been sort of a subplot to this whole Jericho and Kingston feud, haven't they? Then out comes Santana and Ortiz, fellow Inner Circle members and good friends of Eddie Kingston, to come and make the save. Instead of thanking his faction members, and Santana and Ortiz came out with the signature Floyd baseball bat, they gave Floyd to Chris Jericho, who then assisted 2.0 and Daniel Garcia in beating the other 3 men down with the assistance of the baseball bat. Jake Hager then ran down to the ring and looked confused about Jericho's heelish actions, but then he stopped objecting quickly and joined in on behalf of Jericho, revealing it all to be one big ruse, one big plan. Hager then focused his attention on Eddie Kingston and powerbombed him off the ring apron through a table at ringside, which, by the way, looked nasty. I mean, really nasty. Hager really struggled to get Kingston up, and then once he dropped him, I mean, the table exploded, but I mean, Kingston did not touch a lot of that table. He really didn't. It was a rough landing, a really rough landing. The new faction posed together, and Chris Jericho named them the Jericho Appreciation Society. He lastly finished the segment by saying, and that's entertainment. So Jericho has a new catchphrase. GFY was not working. And that's entertainment, I guess, is his new attempt of getting a catchphrase over. We'll wait and see if that does get over, because I'm not buying that one either. I thought the segment was well done. I like the idea of Eddie Kingston being with Santana and Ortiz, homaging back to the LAX days, right, in Impact Wrestling. That's fun. I've been saying for several weeks, I feel like Jericho needs to evolve and he needs to do something different. Certainly needs to turn heel. He's way better as a heel. You know, Jericho at the beginning of AEW with the Inner Circle was great. I thought that was compelling television. Le Champion, a little bit of the bubbly, all that kind of stuff was great. He's felt stale for maybe the last 12 months or so. Is the Jericho Appreciation Society the way of Jericho evolving into something fresh? I don't know, because it does feel a lot like the Inner Circle 2.0, to be honest with you. Okay, the Inner Circle, I'm going to evolve. I've got a new faction. You know, they're no longer the Inner Circle, it's the Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho tends to evolve gradually, so I'm willing to see how this one does continue and if he does change a lot of things up. Because, again, if I'm him, I'm changing the entrance music, I'm changing Judas, I'm not using the baseball bat, I'm not wearing vests, I'm not wearing my sneakers, all that kind of stuff. I'm changing everything completely. Everyone wears suits. I mean, just do something completely different. I know Jericho's done the whole suit-wearing stuff, so I'm not sure what he'll do, but he needs to change completely, I think. Whether or not he'll do that Remains to be seen, but maybe this is the beginning of Jericho starting to evolve again, and I think he needs to. We also heard from William Regal for the first time inside of an AEW ring last night, and what a promo. I spoke about a show that had so many great moments, and this William Regal promo, and I am biased, of course, because I'm a Brit, and William Regal's like a god over here, he's an icon. But we had a match last night on Dynamite, which was Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley's first tag team match in AEW. They defeated the Workhorsemen in a tag team match, which was great. It was a lot of fun. And all of this was just a prelude, of course, to the man who united them at AEW Revolution, and his first words as an official member of the AEW roster, I guess, that being William Regal. He explained why he's here. He said, primarily because my old employer no longer needed my services, which got a bit of a pop. He also got really emotional when he was talking about Tony Schiavone, and the way he started the promo was just great when he was saying, look, I never thought I'd have this moment again. You know, me and you on TBS, that happened 29 years ago, and I never thought we'd happen again, and here we are. And he got emotional because he said that Tony Schiavone was really helpful to him when he moved from the UK to the United States to work in WCW. He also said that he was sitting on the couch and he kind of checked out from pro wrestling once his employer no longer needed him. And then he heard that his protege, Bryan Danielson, mentioned him on Dynamite. He said that, frankly, most fans know of him because of his name associated with Bryan Danielson, a man he believes is the best professional wrestler alive. And that's his connection to the Dragon. And he said that he is the best version of myself. He is everything I should have been. He is a great professional wrestler and he doesn't have any of my problems, any of my issues. And then he turned to Jon Moxley and he said, look, Jon Moxley, I'm a rogue and I know a thing or two about personal demons. Together, the old villains say the potential of the perfect wrestler and the perfect and utter sadistic person who will take things to another level. And who gets in their way? He said you will either step up or you'll get stepped on. And it was a great promo. Now, I saw some people say, it was a bit rambly and it was a bit long. I don't know if he went long or not. He might have. I did, in fairness, think at points, I was like, man, that was a little bit too long. But it was real, it was raw, it was emotional, and it was great. And it's just a different, really, you could just tell the joy in his face by being able to say wrestler. He said wrestler so many times in professional wrestling, and it was great. And I'm excited to see what William Regal does with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. I've seen some people, again, be like, see Moxley and Danielson working in a tag team, they're doing a lot better than they were in WWE, ha 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 ha. And it's like, so you've basically been told for years that if you're not in the main event, you're worth nothing. Not everyone can be in the main event at periods of time. Bryan Danielson just had a main event feud with Hangman Page. Jon Moxley is a former AEW World Champion. It's not the point right now. The point is to create compelling television, to have a tag team. We've got the Hardys, we've got Moxley and Danielson. Whether or not they'll turn on each other eventually. This isn't a tag team for the long haul, and having William Regal involved is great. It is absolutely fantastic. So I loved it. I loved it. And again, I'm biased. I'll be honest. I'm biased when it comes to William Regal. Speaking of tag teams, FTR no longer have a manager. On last night's AEW Dynamite, a backstage segment saw FTR and Tully Blanchard being interviewed after losing 2 tag team battle royales in a row in an effort to become AEW World Tag Team Champions once more. Dax Harwood said that they always want to be tag team champions, but in this case, he feels he needs to prove himself as a man to his family. That being said, he wants to focus on taking out Red Dragon and the Young Bucks for the time being. This seemed to displease Tully Blanchard, as he pointed out that the only reason he's managing them is to chase the AEW Tag Team Championships. He says he understands about family, but the titles is where they need to keep their focus, and they need to keep the titles at the forefront of their minds. The argument was getting heated enough that it almost looked like Dax and Tully were going to come to blows. That's when Cash Wheeler interjected and said, Tully, you know what? This is about family, and you're not in it. You're fired. So I don't know where this is going. It must be said, it was quite surprising. I look and say, well, who on earth is going to manage him? I don't know. I really, really don't know. I have no idea. Not a clue. Who's going to manage FTR? I know people say, Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette is not coming into AEW. If he does, that would be madness. I see some people saying Ric Flair. I don't think Ric Flair's going anywhere near AEW because I don't think AEW want to just touch that hot mess at this point in time. I've seen some people say Bret Hart, and obviously we know FTR really close friends with Bret Hart. They text him every day. That would be amazing. I mean, I don't know. You never know. I don't know if Brett's up to that kind of schedule. I don't know if Brett wants to come in every single week. I really it would be huge for the company. I know that Dax Howard's teased it on Twitter, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Maybe it's just a case of they feel like they don't need a manager anymore, or they're going to go to Arn. Maybe Arn's going to be the new manager. I have no idea. So we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But I feel like if Bret Hart came in as a permanent character on AEW television or as a manager or whatever, I feel like he would be managing someone, no disrespect to them, bigger. I know Bret Hart started as a tag team wrestler, of course, but, you know, CM Punk's talking about how close he was to, or how much he admires Bret Hart, and I mean, Punk, people will say, well, Punk doesn't need a manager. He's had a manager in the past. He had Paul Heyman. So, who knows? We'll keep an eye on that one. Thunder Rosa is once again the number one contender for the Women's Tag Team Championship. She defeated Layla Hirsch to become the number one contender for the title. When the dust was settled, Thunder won the match and will get one more shot at Britt Baker's championship. After her victory, Tony Schiavone came down to the ring and announced that the two women will compete in a steel cage match for the championship. Despite the setback, the match is now going to happen in her hometown of San Antonio, Texas, to chase the gold. So I would think that's when Thunder Rosa is going to win the title, because if she doesn't, I have no idea what the plan has been. But I feel like the only reason she lost at Revolution is because they decided they were going to do the title switch in her hometown. If it doesn't, then who knows what the plan is. I really don't know that one. Rampage on Friday, we have a few things announced for Rampage. The card for Rampage was revealed during Dynamite last night, and it features the in-ring debut of Swerve Strickland after a backstage confrontation with Tony Nese. They spoke about their history of wrestling on 205 Live on Fridays. Now they're going to wrestle on Friday once more. Keith Lee will also be in action in a one-on-one match against QT Marshall. And after the big brawl between Andrade's new version of the AFO and Darby Allin and Sting and the Hardy Boys, we're going to see Darby Allin versus Mark Quinn. We're also going to see Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez on the show too. I know what people are going to say, and it's justified. You know, Swerve Strickland comes out, debuts on Rampage. They're trying to get people to watch Rampage, but frankly, people do not watch Rampage. And it's not because it's a bad show, it's because the time slot sucks. Until they move it to an 8 p.m. time slot, whether that's on Saturday, which I think they might do, the show's going to struggle, and it's going to feel like being on that show is being relegated to the B show, because that's what it is. It feels like the B show at this point. It does not feel like a third hour of Dynamite. It does not feel like an extension of the show on Wednesdays. That's primarily, I feel, because of the time slot. And once they start moving to a time slot and maybe it can get some better ratings and some better viewers, it's going to feel like the B show, unfortunately. Nevertheless, I'm interested to see what Swerve does, and I always enjoy watching Keith Lee. Finally, we have an update when it comes to Miro. Now, Miro hasn't been on AEW television recently. He's currently dealing with a hamstring injury, but he has reportedly signed a new contract with AEW. The former TNT champion recently signed a new 4-year contract extension, according to a report by Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp. This will keep him signed to the company until at least early 2026. Miro recently confirmed that he has re-signed with AEW on an episode of The Kurt Angle Show. Miro and AEW officials reportedly agreed the terms late last year, but it took a while before the deal was actually signed. His original AEW contract would have actually expired in the spring of this year. It's nearly been 2 years since Miro made his debut. Now, Miro has not wrestled since losing to Bryan Danielson at AEW Full Gear on November 13. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury for a while, but word is that he has been cleared and is expected to return soon, because he's been cleared for a return for a while too. There's no word yet on when exactly he's going to be back, but of course, if we hear something, we'll keep you updated. Nevertheless, guys, let me know your thoughts on today's AEW news in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestle News 365, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.